I'm telling you, with all the good news that's happening this month, what with Halo 5 Guardians coming out, the Grimm Eclipse RWBY game, and RWBY Volume 3 coming out as well, I don't think my heart can really take much more. I'm going!
Clear.
Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, Jake the OneManBand is back again, and welcome to a RWBY in-depth look breakdown of the opening sequence of RWBY Volume 3, and oh my gosh, it is something that is truly beautiful in my eyes. This is something that I've been waiting for ever since around mid-summer, because that's when I was like, I want something concrete and new to talk about, and this is something concrete and new to talk about! So, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the opening sequence of RWBY Volume 3. So in the very beginning of the sequence, it starts out, we're looking at the moon, and there's a very beautiful piano crescendo, I don't know what it is, I'm not a music guy, but amazing, just a nice little piano piece. And then it comes down upon a single rose standing up in the middle of a forest, which is then trampled by a stampede of charging Grimm. Now, what can this be telling us? Could it be telling us that RWBY alone, she is going to try to stand up against this Grimm threat, or Team RWBY alone is gonna stand up against this Grimm threat? What I get out of it is that the Grimm, they represent something bad, something that's either the Grimm itself, or the Chaos Syndicate, or maybe even both. But the thing is, their main plan, it's coming. It's gonna come into fruition in this volume. It definitely is. And when it comes, it may just end up completely trampling and flattening Team RWBY to the point where they're completely flabbergasted or they're defeated in battle. The whole sequence where it's the stampede of Grimm, it seems to be representing an encroaching danger upon the Kingdom of Vale and Beacon itself, by what it shows later on in the sequence. But we'll get to that in a little while. Right now, let's talk about what happens next in the sequence. It seems that we are then transported into the arena of the Vital Tournament, and that is where we see teams such as Team RWBY, Team Sun, Team Juniper, and the Chaos Syndicate, Cinder's team. Now, something real important that I want to bring up with you guys. It shows Team Sun before Team Juniper. Now, does this mean that Team Sun is going to have a more prominent role in this volume, and they're actually gonna be in it more than Sun and Neptune were in Volume 2? I definitely believe so. And it also shows Scarlet and Sage. They're in the foreground. They are in the center and forward of the screen. You know, Neptune and Sun, they're off to the sides. Why is it that the two characters that weren't even shown in Volume 2 get the center stage for the Team Sun lineup? Are they going to have some sort of special thing? Some special purpose in the volume? Who knows? I mean, I'm just glad they put them in the opening sequence, which, even though they didn't do it in Volume 2, since they are in such a position where they're at the forefront of their team, this pretty much states that they are going to have actual roles in the volume. And if they don't, I swear to God, people are gonna die. But another amazing thing about Team Sun is with Sage and Scarlet, we get to see what their weapons are going to be. Now, Sage's weapon is a little more on the mysterious side. For the most part, it looks like it may be some form of tribal staff and or club. We really only get to see a very small piece of it due to the fact that it's hanging on his back. It is Scarlet who we get to see a lot more of what his weapon is gonna be. His weapon, his melee weapon that is, looks like a scabbard or maybe even a cutlass. Either way, it is a one-handed sword, and that might lead on to what his inspiration is, due to the fact that he almost looks like he should be like some sort of British inspired character, like old colonial times British guy, or maybe even a pirate due to the cutlass. And his second weapon is a flintlock pistol, or the remnant version of a flintlock pistol. How it's going to actually function in battle is really up for grabs. Is it going to just be a form of blunderbuss type weapon? Is it going to have to take an infinity time to reload or something? Or does it transform into something completely new? Oh, it's just so amazing to think about. So after it shows Team Sun, it goes on to Team Juniper. Now, not really much to say there, but it is the girls that take the foreground. It isn't Jean and Pyrrha, it isn't Ren and Nora, it's Pyrrha and Nora. Why is that? Are they going to have a bigger role in this story than they had previous times? I know Pyrrha has been a big character in the previous 2 volumes, but Nora, she was kind of brushed to the side in volume 2 if you really think about it. So does this mean we're gonna get to see awesome girl friendship time with Nora and Pyrrha? That'd be kind of cool if you know, that's what I think. And then of course it ends looking upon Cinder's crew, the Chaos Syndicate. And it zooms in on Cinder, showing once again her glowing yellow eyes. Now, whether her glowing eyes is a tribute to her semblance or just her raw power, it's really up for grabs. But once we zoom in on her eyes, it then transfers back to the stampeding Grimm, which shows that the two are connected. Cinder is connected to the encroaching darkness that the Grimm represent. And another real quick thought about the Chaos Syndicate. As we know, the Vinyl Festival tournament is going to take place with teams of 4, but Cinder's team is 3. Now, it could as easily be, oh, they're only gonna fight with 3 people, so you know, that's the thing, they're gonna have to pull extra weight to compensate for the lack of a 4th person. Or, are they going to bring in a 4th person? Now, there was plenty of ideas who that 4th person may be. It could have been, back in Volume 2, it could have been Torchwick, but he's now imprisoned. It could be Adam. But then again, I don't think it will be Adam due to the fact that Blake would recognize him and be like, hey, that guy's like part of the White Fang and stuff. So, you know, and, you know, she would tell her team and then her team would do something about it. Another thought would be, oh, maybe it's going to be Neo, but it's along the same lines as Adam due to the fact that Yang would recognize Neo and be like, hey, she was on the train with Roman Torchwick doing all this flip-de-doo stuff and she almost stabbed me in the freaking eye socket. So, who is going to be the 4th member of the Chaos Syndicate during the tournament? That is truly a good question. Leave your comments down below on who you think it might be. Now back to the stampeding Grimm. Now, we see now what the Grimm are stampeding towards. They're stampeding toward Beacon Academy, and we see that they begin to overtake it. They're running through the streets and the pathways of Beacon Academy, climbing up to the tallest tower, Ozpin's tower, and that is where we see Ozpin and Glenda looking outside at the encroaching darkness, at all the Grimm looking at them through a window. Now, this almost seems like Ozpin and Glenda, they're almost trapped, either by the encroaching darkness or by the window itself. Almost like how Ozpin now maybe feels now that he is no longer in charge of the security of the Vital Festival. Maybe now he feels trapped, he feels imprisoned by either everything that's going on around him or just simply by Ironwood. And how he perceives the world right now is that it's now surrounded by darkness and something is going to break, represented by the veil that is keeping Ozpin and Glenda safe is broken and shattered. And when it is shattered, it then goes and shows a fleet of military airships. I'm talking hundreds of military airships in the sky. And then it shows Ironwood with his army behind him. And something to tell about Ironwood, he's decked in battle gear. He now has shoulder guards, and he looks like he's raring for battle, and he almost wants something to happen because he's got that itchy trigger finger, and he's just ready to pull the trigger on whatever is going to happen, which may end up to be very, very bad for the Vital Festival, due to the fact that it's supposed to be a festival that encourages peace and displays peace, and is supposed to represent how the kingdoms ceased their fighting and decided to become friends. You see, now that the military is in control of security, there's definitely going to be tension, more tension, in the air. And after it shows Ironwood and his military, it shows Adam. And it shows Blake looking at Adam from afar. Once again, the estranged former White Fang member looking at the now militarized White Fang. And the way Adam looks, even though we can't tell a lot due to the fact that most of his face is shrouded in a mask, he almost looks hesitant, almost a little bit, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. He looks like he doesn't want to, like, go to war, what have you. He looks like he's contemplating, he's thinking. It's not, he doesn't look like, he's like, oh yeah, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. He doesn't really look like Ironwood. He looks like someone who's more calculating and is trying to think what is best for his people while trying to still get his point across. But, I mean, once again, it could be up for grabs what he's actually trying to display. Due to the fact that most of his face is shrouded in a mask, I can't tell all that much. Alright, now, let me just take a little while now to talk about the music. Okay, now, as I said, it starts out with a nice piano, and then it just, boom, goes into like rock and guitars and drums, and it's all upbeat, and it really puts a very foreboding and dark tone on the series. And if you notice, throughout the entire sequence, there isn't any bright lights or any of the like daytime aspects that it showed in the previous intros. All of the set pieces in the intro are dark and gloomy and then are at nighttime, setting up a very dark tone for this volume. So we're finally going to get our dark tone volume, guys. But after it shows Adam and the White Fang, it then goes into a sequence where it shows how RWBY is fighting Cinder, Weiss is fighting Emerald, Yang is fighting Mercury, Blake is fighting Adam, and kind of like how it was doing in the previous volume intro. But it is only here that I'm able to make out actual lyrics of the song. Now, once I get the full song of this intro sequence, I'm probably going to do another video just breaking down the song in itself. But right now, at this part of the intro sequence, I'm able to make out some lyrics. And those lyrics are, there will be no rest, there will be no love, there will be no hero in the end that will rise above. What does this mean? Does this mean that RWBY and Team RWBY are going to be trampled? Because they've always been the heroes. They've always been the ones to look forward to make things good. And it almost like the song is stating that something so bad is going to happen in this volume that in the end, no hero will be able to overcome it, to stop it. What is encroaching now on the Kingdom of Vale and at Beacon Academy is not going to be able to be stopped by any of our heroes at this moment. Now, it could be epic foreshadowing, or it could be like sort of scooting us in the direction like, oh yeah, it's going to be dark, but in the end, you know, the good guys will triumph. It could be something like that. But I personally believe that something is going to happen that our heroes are not going to be able to rise above, and they're gonna be brought down low by the end of this volume. So after that sequence, we finally get our first looks at Winter and Crow, and they look great. Although I was hoping Crow was gonna have a little bit of facial hair, because, like, people in RWBY, they age very well. I'll give them that, but it's like, when I like to look at a character, especially a male character, who's supposed to be like an adult, I want him to look like an adult. I mean, I know some characters have, and especially in anime, have cleanly shaved faces and they look like an adult, such as like Roy Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist. He definitely looks like an adult, but why don't you give him just like a little bit of put a little bit of stubble on Crow. Come on, put a little bit of stubble on Crow. Make him look like a rigid badass, come on, because he is. I mean, that's just my opinions, but anyway, we get to see Winter and Crow, and as we do, we get to see Winter right next to Weiss, and it looks like Weiss is actually looking at her sister with admiration and with love, and that's something that I wasn't really expecting, due to the fact that she didn't want to talk to Winter back in Volume 2. And, you know, she was really hesitant about it and didn't want to do it. But it's here that she almost looks like she's looking at her sister in reverence, you know? Something along those lines. Much like how RWBY and Yang are looking at Crow. They're looking at him with love and with respect. And it's amazing, because does this mean that Weiss and Winter have a better relationship than we initially thought? I mean, only time will tell. A real cool note about Crow also is when he walks off screen. You can see in the background how there's a motorcycle back there. I'm pretty sure that's the motorcycle that he rides on. I mean, Yang didn't get her road warrior motorcycle ways probably from her dad. No, she probably got it from Uncle Crow. And it's the next scene that is one of probably the coolest to think about. We have Winter and Crow sort of looking at each other, facing off like they're ready to go at it. But the way they're looking at each other, it doesn't show like all out anger or rage or like, I'm gonna rip your freaking throat out or anything like that. No, it looks more like they're annoyed at each other and they don't like each other's company. Almost like there's a rivalry between them. Maybe they're old rivals from the good old days at the academies. Or maybe my thoughts on how Crow is sort of a underling of Ozpin, how Winter may be an underling of Ironwood, and that puts them at odds due to the fact that Ironwood has kind of overstepped Ozpin and stuff. You know, they may be at odds at that. Or it very well could be, maybe they're past lovers, and like they're finally like meeting each other again after like maybe Crow stood Winter up or Winter stood Crow up after a while, so they're gonna be like, where were you that night when we had those dinner reservations at McFurry's or whatever restaurant they were going to. But the thing is, the way they look at each other, it doesn't look like anger, it looks just more like angst and like irritation. Alrighty guys, now it's time for the big one. The big thing that probably all of you are exploding on the internet about. The old team photo. The old team photo of Team Turquoise. Or whatever the team's name is. Raven, Crow, Taiyang, and Summer. That's the team. Alright, so let me just get this out of the way. Yes, it is confirmed that Raven is indeed Yang's mother. You guys can say, I told you so, and all that kind of stuff. And you guys are right. You guys were right, and everything that was pointing towards Raven being Yang's mother has now been confirmed, due to the fact that Yang herself states,
he wouldn't tell me everything, but I learned that the two of them had been on a team together with Summer and Crow.
And now that we see that Raven is indeed in this picture with Taiyang and Summer Rose, this confirms it. Raven is indeed Yang's mother. But the showing of this photo is much more important than that, guys. Okay, so the fact of the matter that they're showing this photo, probably they wanted to show people, oh yes, Raven is Yang's mother, this confirms it, now just shut up about it and accept it. They were they made that specifically for me, so that I would finally accept that Raven was Yang's mother. But the fact of the matter is that Crow takes notice of it as it flutters away. So obviously it's his. He has kept this memento of his old team. Now does this mean that he's a sentimental type? Maybe. But what really gets me is that the photo itself, it tells a lot about the characters that are inside it. Alright, let's just list off the characters from left to right. Let's start with Summer. Now, the thing is, when we have always heard about Summer, we've heard of her as like being that super mom, the maker of cookies and the slayer of monsters, that she sounded like a very upbeat, a very like out there kind of girl. But in this photo, she seems very shy, very small, somebody who hides away in the shadows, somebody who doesn't really like the limelight. And that sort of confirms my original opinions of her. How I believe that she was probably a lot like RWBY is right now, or was at the beginning of the show. How she was kind of that social awkward one that just kind of like, I'm gonna hide under my hood and, make myself as small as possible. I don't really want to be in the limelight, I just want to do my thing. And that's kind of like what I'm getting from the picture of Summer, is that she's just kind of sitting there, and almost like half of her face is veiled from the hood, and I mean, she looks very mysterious, which is so awesome, because it's just like, I want to pick Summer apart so much just to find out all that is about her. But next we have Tai Yang. Tai Yang, he's a lot like I would think he would be in his younger years. He looks like very laid back. He's got the nice vest going on, and he's just like sitting back, and he's got that look on his face that's just like, yeah, I'm super cool. Yeah, look at me. I'm like that popular guy. I can get any girl I like this girl Raven here. I'm gonna marry her one day. I'm gonna have a beautiful child. Gonna name her Yang after me. It's gonna be awesome and all that kind of stuff. He looks like that. He looks like somebody who was very cool, very collected in his younger years. But as we know, after Raven left him and Summer disappeared or died, he kind of broke down, and he's probably a more broken man now, but in the photo, he looks like he was just that awesome, cocky guy. Probably even the leader. But speaking of leaders, it shows Raven. She's in the foreground. She's the one who's closest to the camera. So this kind of makes me think, maybe she was the leader at some point? Maybe she was? I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, why is she in front of Tai Yang or anything like that? I don't really know. And then last off, we see Crow, and he's kind of standing there, next to his sister. He's looking awesome. He was probably best friends with Tai Yang way before the team even started, and he's brandishing his giant weapon, and it looks like just a giant sword, but we know that he wields a scythe. We know that he wields a scythe, so does that sword transform into a giant scythe? Most likely. And something else that I really caught an eye of is that it then zooms on the centermost part of his weapon that's full of cogs and stuff, much like Ozpin's weapon, how it has cogs in it, and Ozpin's room has all these cogs, so it's almost like it's an older type weapon, or that shows that he's connected to Ozpin somehow in more ways than we know right now. Now, before we get to the very, very end of the intro sequence, I want to talk about something that appears right after it shows Crow's center cog of his weapon, and before it gets to the falling down of Team RWBY and Team Juniper. It shows a red orb, a red and black orb of almost pulsating, changing power. Now, we have seen this before. We have seen it in the first volume intro sequence, where when Team RWBY is taking defensive stances and they turn around and have to dodge an attack, that was in the center of it. Does this red orb hold some sort of importance? Is it some form of evil entity? Is it a spirit of some kind? What is it? Does it hold any importance at all? I may be blowing this red orb out of proportion, but it's something that really caught my eye and really got me thinking. So tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Alrighty, so the very last part of the intro sequence, we see Team RWBY and Team Juniper falling into a pit, hand in hand. But then Team Juniper loses their grip and they're detached from Team RWBY, leaving Team RWBY with no hands to grab onto. They're broken, they're disheveled, and the look on RWBY's face is one of complete sorrow and pain when she looks away from the tumbling away of Team Jester. And then at the very end, when it shows Team RWBY sitting down in the darkness, RWBY is the only one with her eyes open while the rest of her teammates are either passed out or asleep. This shows that something big is going to happen to RWBY. Something is going to happen to her to cause major character development and change, which I'm so glad is going to be happening because it's finally time for RWBY to get some major character development going. But what's really important is that when the two teams are falling, they're falling into a pit of darkness. Let's think about, what do you fall into? You fall into madness, pain, despair. Yes, very much so. Could it be that Team RWBY throughout this volume, or at least at the very end of this volume, are going to fall into complete and utter despair, leaving them almost broken by the end? I mean, who can tell? But one of the last lines of the song is fall. So the teams, Team RWBY, and maybe even Team Juniper, they're going to fall. From what exactly and to where? Well, watching the volume is the only way we're gonna find out. Hey everybody out there, this is the End Slate. I hope you guys enjoyed this video as much as I had making it, because oh my gosh, having something new like this to just take, break down, and analyze has been so much fun, and I feel like me again. And it's only a matter of time until the volume starts coming out and I'll start breaking down the episodes and doing all that kind of fun stuff. So be sure to leave anything you think I left out down in the comments below. Any comments, any questions down below as well. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on everything that's going on in this volume sequence. I mean, oh my gosh, it's just so great. It's so great. This one is probably definitely one of the best of all the intro sequences due to the fact that I was able to break it down so much. So be sure to like and favorite if you've enjoyed. Subscribe, of course, if you feel inclined to. Check out some other videos that I've done. I do a lot of them to entertain you guys. And until next time, I'll see you guys next time I'm out there in YouTube land. Be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward. Volume 3, I'll be waiting. Yeah!